It's wonderful that you could all join us today. My name is Peg Herbert. I'm the founder and executive director of Help Lesotho. These are very unsettling times, and we appreciate you taking the time in your life to join us and celebrate some really good things, which is very special. As I reviewed the list of participants, I wish I could welcome each one of you. We have a number of time zones from all across Canada's five time zones. We have Kenya, we have Lesotho, and we have regrets from some of our donors in New Zealand as it's 3 a.m. their time. So we'll send them the video afterwards. But it's special to have you here today, and we have lots to tell you. Today we're going to celebrate our Care4Caregivers campaign, which raised money to help the most vulnerable of our beneficiaries. As you well may know, as soon as the pandemic was identified, our local staff called hundreds and hundreds of our recent and previous graduates from our intensive programs. That's girls and women, youth, young mothers, grandmothers, herd boys, to give them psychosocial support, to check in on how they were doing. We provided COVID facts and coping strategies, and also to identify which one of them were among the most vulnerable. And as a response to the most urgent needs, we launched the Care4Caregivers campaign. And each dollar that you donated was matched by Remax Hallmark Giving Foundation, which was really exciting and generous and truly appreciated. And so, in 30 days, you helped us raise over $60,000. It's just remarkable in these chaotic times that you would share so much and give your time and attention to people so very far away. We can't thank you enough. And this occasion is to tell you what happened to your money. We've been working really, really hard, and we've invited some of our staff in Lesotho who've been working intensely on the project to tell us what's going on and answer any questions you might have. So I'll start by asking them to introduce themselves and give them a little idea of what they actually do in Lesotho. Mefeleng, would you join us? Dumela Me. It takes a second for the video to come on. Go. Maybe there's some trouble there. So I'll ask Meshasha. Could you join us, May?
Yes, May.
Oh, you're there, Mefeleng. Dumela Me.
Yes. Dumela Me.
O phela jwang?
Ya phela jwang me.
Ke phela hantle. Your video isn't on just yet, but I'm sure it's coming. There you are. There you are. Hello.
Yeah, I'm there.
Would you introduce yourself?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good evening. My name is Felin Litola. I work here at Help Lesotho as a senior psychosocial support, and I've been working with Help Lesotho for 8 years now. And my main role is to support each and every program that is running here at Help Lesotho, providing psychosocial support, training the staff, and providing assistance where needed. So I've been much involved in this project of the Care4Givers, which we are currently implementing now. And I've been a member of the task team that has been working hard to make sure that things are happening. So we are happy that the project has already started, and then the excitement that we saw from our beneficiaries. So thank you.
Meshasha?
Yes, me.
What's on me?
Tumela ne?
O phela jwang?
Hantle ne o phela jwang?
Ke phela hantle. Ke a leboha.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Good evening and good morning, everyone. I am Mahauta Shasha. I'm working directly with the program of Young Mothers, and I have been with Help Lesotho for the past 6 years, working in the same program. I'm providing psychosocial support, conducting trainings to our participants, and supporting them where necessary. Thank you.
Ke a leboha me. Me Tlalefu?
Yes, ma'am.
No phela jwang?
Hantle no phela jwang me.
Phela hantle me.
I'm
Hi.
here.
Good. We're
Okay.
glad you're here.
Thank you, Mepe. Hi, everyone. My name is Caregivers. I work here at Help Lesotho in the center program as the Lesotho Center supervisor. And I work with adolescents, adults, and also youth, respectively with the Pearls, Guys for Good, in the Computer and Life Skills program, and generally with the supervision of the professional interns. So during this initiative of the Caring for Caregivers, I've been assisting in the packaging of the packages that were delivered to the beneficiaries. Thank you, ma'am.
Ke a leboha me. We were hoping Ndate could join us, and we're still hoping he can, but we'll proceed. He may be having technical difficulty. So, Meshasha, I'm hoping everyone's screen can be on. Meshasha, could you tell us that during the calls that you made to the beneficiaries, what did you identify are their most serious concerns?
Thank you, Mepek, for asking. While calling the beneficiaries mostly their mothers, one of their major concerns was inadequate food supply in the families. The fact that in most of their families, they are not working, nobody's working. So during COVID-19, it was worse because they were unable to do the daily paid work that they normally do. Therefore, lack of food was the major challenge to them. Also, there was a confusing information from the social medias where the information about COVID-19 was very disturbing and frustrating to the young mothers because the young mothers didn't know which information is correct, and all the information concerning of myths and about COVID-19 was very frustrating to them. Therefore, us calling the young mothers was very helpful because they managed to get the appropriate information from us, and they were able to take care of themselves, take care of the families, and also sharing the information with all people around them.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Could you just elaborate a little bit on the kinds of little bits of money, the ways these young mothers make any kind of money that they were deprived of during the COVID lockdown?
Like I have said, they are normally doing their daily paid jobs, like washing clothes for someone, or like maybe selling something like wood. Some sell crops from the fields where they are able to grow crops, but not all of them grow crops. So it's very difficult for them to make income.
Dumela Ndate?
Dumela Mepek.
O phela jwang?
Ke a phela me.
Phela hantle. Did you have some technical problems?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry I joined late. I experienced some technical problems.
Yes, not surprising.
Yes.
Thank you. Could you introduce yourself, Ndate, and tell us what you found in the phone calls with the beneficiaries, what you felt were their, you were calling a different population than Meshasha.
Thank you so much, Mayor, for welcoming me to the meeting. My name is Sello Mazuso. I work specifically with the group of men, specifically head boys. I've been with Help Lesotho for the past 7 years now. Yes, during the COVID-19 time, we've been calling our beneficiaries. I was tasked to call the head boys and the lead beneficiaries. Basically, from the calls I made to beneficiaries, there are two most things that I learned from them. Firstly, there was a lot of misinformation about COVID-19. That include the stereotypes coming up with the pandemic, and also misinformation basically coming from the social media. So that in a way was confusing to the beneficiaries, yet they don't have access to information on how to protect themselves against the pandemic, and also some of the precautions matters that they have to follow to be safe in the reigning of the COVID-19 virus. One other thing that was amongst most of our beneficiaries is crying of lack of food in their families. That is because when the lockdown started, majority of our beneficiaries, they do odd jobs. For that reason, they eat from hand to mouth. So that being the reason, there was no one in the family, in the household, to bring food to the table. So hunger was one of the biggest things, and even those, most of them were crying that we are going to die of hunger instead of dying of the COVID-19 pandemic. So those are the two observations that I found when I was calling the beneficiaries.
And this seemed to be a common element, this fear of starvation came forward as from all of the groups. And that's why we initiated this particular project of Care for Caregivers. So, Metlalifu, could you tell us what's in the packages? We are delivering 1,230 packages that will feed over 5,000 people. And we've never done anything like this before, and particularly at this scale. So we had some challenges sourcing things. We're still having a little bit of trouble sourcing. So could you share with us, May, about the sourcing of the packages and what's in them and how you put them together?
Okay, thank you so much. As we all know that Help Lesotho works in 4 areas, being Tabateka, Botabute, and Leribe, also Beria currently. We had to identify the 4 areas and try to find the best areas that we will find the suppliers with enough capacity to accommodate supplies that will be delivering to all our beneficiaries that were listed as the most in need. And from there, from all the quotations and sourcing out which supplier will deliver as needed on a timely manner, and who will also be accessible to all of us in terms of for us to allocate them in the different areas that we identified, which will be using the beneficiaries would easily come and collect their food packages. So from there, in the food packages, we have 17 items, which are 12.5 of maize meal or meal. We have 1 kg of powdered meal, powdered soap. We have 1 kg of sugar beans. We have 1 green bar soap. we have 1 kg brown sugar, we have 2 liters of cooking oil, we have 2 kg split peas, 1 kg green lentils, 1 kg salt, lion matches, 10 pack, 450 grams of white candles, 250 milliliters of Vaseline Blue Seal, a bag of apples, a bag of oranges, sanitary kit, which was given to the young mothers for now and grandmothers living with adolescents, 1 mask per pack or per package, and 5 liters of paraffin, which we hope can last them a month, which is a substitute of wood for cooking. So that is all the 17 list of items that were included in the food parcel.
So in Lesotho, as you know, we work in very rural regions and people use cow dung, dried cow dung, paraffin, kerosene, and sticks that they, or wood that they buy or collect. So it's very difficult to find. It's winter now, it's cold, they've had a lot of snow in the mountains, and this paraffin will help them to cook. May Feleng, could you tell us how this is a lot of stuff, and we are very committed to buying locally. So we source as close to the beneficiaries as possible. This helps to build the local economies and keep these vendors going, but it's hard for us to source the amount that we require for this kind of mass distribution. And then the staff we have to go and get the materials. Some people can deliver them, and then the staff put these packages together themselves. So May Feleng, could you share with us how that went?
That went very well, because we were made aware as staff by the procurement department that the staff will be arriving. So we were ready to receive all those goods, and the minute they arrived to our offices, we have already planned ahead by dividing our staff into 2 groups, which are the packaging groups, and then we also set up the locations. So it was easy for us when the materials arrived that we dispersed them outside our premises so that we are able to count the number of beneficiaries that we are going to serve on that day. And it was an easy job for us to do, because we always work as a team here at Help Lesotho, and then we support one another. So the packages were ready, and they were categorized in different parts, depending on that. We have paraffin, and paraffin does not have to mix with other things. We have soaps that does not have to mix with other things that are edible. So it was an interesting and easy. It was so quick, because it was only done by the staff, no external labor support. I think the staff were so committed and excited to do the activity. So it went very well. It went very well.
And just to explain, a lot of we're telling people to wash their hands all the time, but most of our beneficiaries don't have hand soap, and they don't use it. So the soaps that were involved were for laundry. For the green soap is actually sunlight soap. It's a large bar that they chop into pieces. It's cheaper. And then the hand soap, just to explain that. Ndate, you were involved in the first distribution, so could you tell us what that was like? It's a huge project, and I want the listeners to understand how far away we have to go to deliver them. And we were concerned about the beneficiaries' capacity to take these heavy things. A bag of mace meal is very heavy in itself. Some of these young mothers are just little girls and they've got babies. And so how did that all work out?
Thank you so much, Mepek. I think from what Mefelin said, our team is so organized, and of course we were so organized yesterday as we deliver the packages. We left here in the morning around 8 o'clock, and then we go to the community. Fortunately, because of the coordination, the chiefs and the councillors already made the beneficiaries to be collective at the designated areas. And in the morning, they were so happy. When we got there, they were singing. And then after that, we started the work, which firstly, because we didn't have bath stations, we were using sanitizers for them to clean their hands to get their packages. Majority were happy. The chief was happy, especially the chief where I was. She nearly cried into tears that she could tell that majority of the people in the community really don't have something to eat, but they are so pleasant that Help Lesotho came in between and gave the community hope into something they eat. So the packaging went very well. Up to this far, we only gave about 68 participants in Berea. That include young mothers and grandmothers only. That number is out of 1,300, above 1,300 number that we're going to distribute, which is going to be next week. So where I was distributing, I can narrate the story of a young mother who is part of the young mother programs. So the husband is working in South Africa. And because of the lockdown in South Africa, the husband was not able to come back home. So the young mother is staying with the parents-in-law. For that reason, because the husband couldn't give money to buy food because of the lockdown and loss of job, the family chased the young mother away from their house. And then that young mother couldn't get something to eat because now she can't even communicate with the husband. She's left back at home, at her home, where she's staying alone without anyone like taking care of the household. So the mother-in-law came in, wanted to take the packages, but then when we investigated and when the chief also told us that no, this man chased away the young mother back to their home, so she doesn't deserve to take these packages. We followed that through and then called the young mother. The young mother was able to get the food packages. We delivered those food packages to their home. So those are some of the things that, in a nutshell, we see domestic violence taking a large rise in this time of COVID-19. But in a nutshell, all the packages were delivered to the right people, and we are proud that our people are going to use them for the benefit of themselves and as well as their families.
Kelly Boandate.
Thank you so much, man.
We're watching the donkey.
And of course, just to share, sorry, man, just to share, the grandmothers couldn't take the heavy parcels by themselves, so they brought their son-in-laws with their donkeys to carry the large packages of oranges, like you can see on the picture, and meal. So it was quite a very good thing to see the grandmother being assisted by their young ones, and of course with the delivery of the masks, they were able to protect themselves against the COVID-19, as it has been recommended that each and every person nationwide has to put on their mask when they are going to the public.
Okay, Kelly Boandate. And to explain, we've had young women in Lesotho making masks, and we're buying them. That's providing work for them, and we're giving them to our beneficiaries. Kelly Boandate. So Meshasha, you were also part of the delivery of parcels. So tell us what it was like from your perspective. Were you in the same group as Ndate Selo?
Yes, ma'am.
And I saw Ndate Motsamai there.
Yes.
Tell him he's now famous. He loves to be in pictures.
Yes, ma'am. I was part of the team with Ntateselo also, and during our distribution, we had good stories and also touching stories from our young mothers. And I remember this one who is a single mother and also staying with her father, and she lost her mother a long time ago, and they are staying with 4 siblings. Therefore, she was very happy to have the package because it was a relief to her that because she was telling me that the package is going to help her to have something to eat because she didn't have anything to eat, and she was also happy that she will be sharing the whole package is enough to share with the whole family. And also she said, I can't wait to see the face of my father when I brought this items at home because we have been struggling throughout the COVID-19. And also from my side, because they have been reporting to me that they are struggling to get food. For me, distributing food to them, it was a relief and I felt excited and energetic. Thank you.
And in this picture we're watching, some of the girls are holding the sanitary kits. So we sell them in Canada. Well, we sell the gift of them in Canada. But could you just explain a little bit what those kits are?
Okay, thank you. The kits that the young mothers are holding in the picture, they are the sanitary kits. And they comprised of a face towel, 2 pet holders, 8 pads. They are the washable pads. Therefore, they are going to, they are very helpful to them because like we have said that they are struggling to get almost their basic needs. They are going to be very helpful because they are no longer going to worry about what to use every month because they are washable and they're easy to wash. They are very quality and they highly appreciate that package of sanitary kit.
And they last for 2 or 3 years, and they're also made by women in Lesotho. So we purchase them from there, and with those sanitary kits go information on hygiene. As you all know, Lesotho has the 2nd highest rate of AIDS in the world, and blood related matters have to be handled very carefully. Mehlalifu, could you recall some of the people you spoke to about the care packages and what their reactions were?
Okay, thank you, Mpeg. I talked to a few of them, but I managed to get detailed information and about Mayor Masabonga Kalatsani, who is a young mother and has a 7-month-old child, and who explained that during the lockdown, he had clashes with the in-laws and also experienced gender-based violence from the husband, whom she was hoping would be the one to mediate the chaotic situation she was in with her in-laws. Therefore, decided to move out of the house to move into another house close by, which is supposedly their new home, where she was supposed to move in with her husband. And from receiving these food packages, she explained delightedly that she was very happy that she was able to get all this nutritious meals for her child, since she has even just started introducing him to soft food, thereby she'll be using this green lentils and the sugar beans to provide a meal for a child, and oranges and apples where her kid can get all the supplements that her child needs. And also was very happy that for the first time after this lockdown, she's able to put food on the table for herself, because she has been struggling very much since she has been neglected by the people that she honestly hoped would be there to support her and provide for her and her child. So she was very happy and really appreciated that Help Lesotho was there and was still thinking about her even after all this lockdown saga, and also that we were able to um, come forth and really provide for her after the calls that the staff members did towards them, and also the fact that she did explain that she needs food, and we are here and we deliver to her. Thank you, ma'am.
Kelly. And for those who don't know Lesotho well, topographically it's very difficult. A lot of our beneficiaries live in very remote areas. It's hard for them to access information. It's hard for them to access support or even transportation. We've been worrying about the young mothers who are ready to give birth and how they will manage. And so we've been also giving airtime to some of the people because it's so important for them to be able to stay in touch, and for a young girl to call the clinics, or people to call for help. A lot of the participants have been afraid to go to the clinics. The COVID has introduced a lot of fear. People weren't going to the clinics to get their medication for HIV, for high blood pressure, for diabetes. And this, of course, has a cascading effect on their health and the recovery. So it's quite complex, but that's one of the reasons the packages were so expensive, is because we added enough things for them to survive for the next while. So thank you, May. And May Feleng, your job at Help Lesotho is to guide the staff and the programs in terms of the psychosocial issues. And a lot of this is about heartbreak, about fear, about grief and loss. A lot of people are still dying. Lesotho has the highest rate per capita of TB in the world. So they're very vulnerable. And could you just kind of give us an overview of your professional perspective on the psychosocial issues related to COVID and our approach in trying to help them?
Yes, normally when the staff have been calling the participants, when they find that situation where it's difficult for them to deal with those kind of participants, they normally talk to me about the situation and see how best we can solve that together in order to help the participants understand the situation. Most of our beneficiaries were so fearful than having knowledge on COVID-19. They were even thinking that this is the end of the world. They were so hopeless about life because of what was happening, as it was the first, I think, case that people were prohibited from their movement, from getting access to services. So I think it became scary than even understanding the situation itself. So our role as a Help Lesotho program staff was to give those kind of participants courage and hope, and rather than being fearful, they should stick to the preventive measures and obligations so that they become safe and save other members of the families who are not getting the opportunity from us in talking to us and giving them the facts about the situation, rather than those a lot of myths and all that. So I think the psychosocial part was psychosocial support played a major role in this situation, because sometimes they were not even aware that at the end of this they are going to get packages, but talking to them also brought a lot of hope to them. So as delivering packages, then that was a bonus for them, and say, you're not only even talking to us, but now you can see that you're even caring more to us, especially when you look at our package. I think our package was more different from other packages that the beneficiaries are getting from other different organizations and the government, because I think we discussed that until we realized that it's not about delivering a package, but it has to entail those things that will help them promote good nutrition, protection for themselves, and then be able to communicate with others. Because when you look at them getting a mask, some of them did not have masks, but they were putting scarves around themselves. So that package had a mask, and immediately they realized that they took that mask and used that at that time. Also, airtime, we tried to mention everything that we give. We gave them airtime so that they should reduce the movement, saying that I'm going to see my relative, I'm going to see my child who's staying at another village, because we promote social distancing. But with airtime, they are just able to call and hear how other members of the families are doing. So I think, yes, we played a major role providing psychosocial support, because it's about providing correct information and even providing the right goods at the right time. So I think we worked very hard on that and convinced that if they take care of themselves, then they will stay safe, other than being fearful and not knowing what to do or to say.
And before I left, the couple days before I left, 3 people came up to me and said, Peg, I think we're all going to die, aren't we? There's been a lot of confusion because they understand pandemics. They have gone through this horrific HIV pandemic, and they understand what all this massive loss of life means. But this is fundamentally different. The transmission is different. So it's been hard for people to understand why they can't congregate, why they can't go to church, why they can't be with people they love, which is completely different from the transmission of HIV in Lesotho, which is, of course, sexual. So it's, we want to thank all of you for your input, and we want to have some time in this webinar for some of the questions that the donors might have. So thank you for staying to answer them. So Kate will pose some of the questions that are coming up, and some people have submitted questions ahead of time.
Hi, everyone. So I'd like to start off with a question that came in from one of our longtime supporters, Suzanne. And she asked, since the beginning of the pandemic, we have been faced with unexpected emerging issues which have required varying degrees of response. During Peg's first coffee get-together, she spoke of issues, of which issues were surfacing in Lesotho and required attention. A strategy was put in place to try to address these issues. The email we received today, which was yesterday, is welcome news, and that was that we exceeded our goal for the Caring4Caregivers campaign. I would be very interested in hearing if new issues have been identified since the first call and how we might be able to help. So I think, Peg, if you'd like to take the first response to that.
So we're always guided by the needs of our beneficiaries, and we communicate with them often. The staff you see in front of you, they know these people. They've worked with them. They've been their program officers. Our intensive programs are long. And so this constant dialogue is the essence of our programming. So we have 3 emergent initiatives that we want to move forward with. Next week, we're going to launch a campaign so that we can buy and give solar lights to families. It's dark, it's winter, it's cold. And for those who have electricity, this will save them money. For those who don't, this will allow them to have some light in their homes. Many of the huts have broken windows and they board them up with cardboard or pieces of board. It's dark and depressing when we're already a little bit depressed. So light will be a very important element. And also these solar lights, we're hoping to get the ones that allow you to charge your cell phones. So they will be able to charge their phones, but they'll also be able to get a fee for their neighbors charging the phones. And this will give them a little bit of money. So grannies can do this, or young mothers, or the herd boys. So they will have be able to get a little bit of income from that. So we're sourcing those out right now. And that's one of the initiatives we will be launching. And the next one is we want to provide a lot of seeds. Seeds are amazingly expensive in Lesotho. There is possibility for some winter produce. All of our beneficiaries have keyhole gardens, and they're able to produce some vegetables during the winter, certain things like cabbage, and there's something in Lesotho called moroho, which is like our chard. It's a heavy leaf kind of spinach. And then in September, of course, as spring comes along, that's the planting season. So we want to raise funds so that they can grow vegetables for their own nutrition to build their immune systems. Pretty much everybody in Lesotho has compromised immune systems, to be able to feed their families and save any money that they have. But also, if they can grow enough, they can sell vegetables. And that is another income generating activity. And the third thing is we want to restart our young mothers' little businesses. In our Young Mothers program, we have we call them starter kits. So we have them identify the needs in their particular village. It might be airtime, it might be paraffin, it might be candles or airtime or mace meal, whatever. And we give them a little starter money and give them the education on inventory management, budgeting, customer relations, all these different elements so that they can start a small business. And we've been doing that for many, many years, but this pandemic, the lockdown, shut them all down. And our young mothers were forced to eat their inventory to survive. So now they don't have any inventory. So we're hoping to restart hundreds of these young mothers in their little businesses and give them, again, more education. Everything we do has education attached to it. We have lots and lots of material so that they can restart and start building those businesses up again. So those are the three initiatives that we're going to be working on immediately. We're on it. So if you have questions about any of those things, please write in the question box. And Kate, would you like to talk about the other questions that have come in?
Absolutely. So Ms. Shasha, if I could ask this question to you, Sue and David would like to know how are you and the rest of the team at Help Lesotho communicating with the young mothers, given what we've been talking about on this call and the fact that the topography is so challenging and it can be so hard to access some of these remote villages. How is that working?
Okay, I'll answer that one. With our Young Mother program, we have the support groups back then there in the village, where there's young mother leads who are taking care of the groups in their own villages. You'll find that in most cases are the ones who have phones so that we can access the young mothers through that lead. It's easier that way because most of them don't have phones, but you'll find that leads are there to pass the information to other young mothers. If I need to call them, I'll call the lead. Can you please allow so and so to talk to me? That is how we are doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, May. Certainly no shortage of challenges. Mefeleng, could you just tell us a little bit about what's been going on in Lesotho with rain this year? What's the forecast looking like for the winter crops? What's the outlook on all of that?
Hey, Kate, thanks. At the moment, Lesotho is very dry and dusty, but the last 2 months, we had rain. We had a lot of rain, and I think as we look at the crops in the villages, in the communities, especially beans, I think people have harvested a lot of sugar beans. So we are yet to see about the maize, but for the beans, most of the farmers have harvested a lot of sugar beans. But for now, Lesotho is very dry. I think it's been a month now without rain here, and it's very dusty.
Okay, thank you, May. We have a question from someone wanting to know, are the phone calls that we've been talking about over the last number of weeks and even months now still happening, or are programs starting again? Oh, sorry. And Salo, could you answer that question for us?
Thank you so much, Kate, for that question. Of course, the phone calls are still going on. We are still giving the PSS to our beneficiaries, though not as at that time when we were working from home, because now that we have to deliver the food packages, we are doing the food packages, and we are also doing coordinations for other programs. But in a nutshell, we are still calling them, and basically they are also getting back to us through doing what we call callback, a message, an automatic message which is free called callback. So when I get a callback from a participant, I know that they need me to reach out for them. So basically we are still calling them.
Excellent, thank you, Ndaje. Mekwalefu, could you answer a question about the current state in Lesotho regarding COVID-19? And we know that there are not many cases, but has the testing improved? What's the status there?
Thank you so much, Kate. So far, the status or the situation with the COVID-19 is that we have a lot of political instability, and we still have a lot of people coming into the country through the rivers surrounding the country, which most of them don't even cross through the border. So far, we've had 2 recoveries out of the 4 cases that we have in Lesotho, and only 2 active ones. So that is the current status right now, or the statistics that we currently have.
Okay, thank you, May.
Can I just jump in there, Kate, just
Sure.
to say that the government, the Prime Minister stepped down last week. There's a new Prime Minister with a new cabinet, a new agenda, and nobody knows how that's going to roll out. So there's been a lot of chaos, which has prevented a kind of unified response to the COVID situation. And as you probably know, Lesotho's health system is not particularly robust. And I just wanted to mention for our listeners that when our staff call a beneficiary, it doesn't cost them anything. It's only if they call us. And that's what Dr. Sella was talking about. They can send an automatic message. So our calling them does not put a financial burden on them. I just wanted to clarify that. Thanks, Kate.
Of course, no problem. So we have a question that's come in regarding the solar power initiative. So I think it sounds excellent, which is great. And they'd like to know how the systems will be sourced and how they will be maintained, particularly the batteries, locally. So I'm actually going to jump in and answer that question. I'm working on researching this right now. A number of years ago, we did do an initiative for small solar lights that were given to thousands of students across Lesotho so that they could use them for studying at night. So we are hoping to work with the same company again. It's a South African company, but this time the lights will be larger, so more of a household size light. And as Peg was mentioning, would also have the functionality for a USB to connect and be able to charge a mobile phone. We're still working out the details of exactly which model we will be purchasing. But with all of these things, there is almost no maintenance required. That's the whole point, is that these are long-lasting lights that will work for many years to give these families both light and hopefully the opportunity to earn some income through charging cell phones. Okay, so maybe we'll go to one last question. And it's, of course, from somebody who has been to Lesotho, and they would like to know if we are doing any distribution in Tabatseka. So for everyone on the call who has not been to Lesotho, Tabatseka is way up in the mountains, a very remote community. It takes about 5 hours by car to get there from Help Lesotho's main center, which is already a couple of hours outside of the capital city. Ndate Sello, would you like to tell us about what's going to happen up in Tabatseka?
Thank you so much, Kate, and thanks for the question. Of course, we are going to distribute in Tabatseka. In Tabatseka, we are going to distribute to the young mothers, to the grandmothers, and also the head boys. So, well, the 4 districts are going to get the relief packages, of course.
My understanding is that we're having a little bit of trouble sourcing things up there. We try to buy, as I said, as locally as possible, and then the team will have to assemble those packages up there. But these are the inherent challenges.
Okay, everyone, that looks like the last of the questions that have come in. So I will turn it over to Peg to wrap things up.
Thank you. And I want to thank our staff from Lesotho. This is now 6 o'clock at night. Their time, they stayed late. Now they have to go home in the dark. I notice Meshash is all ready to go. She's got her coat and her scarf on. She's got 3 children, so I'm sure she's anxious to get home as soon as possible. We're working really, really hard. We feel we're doing the right things, that we're making a difference, that we're addressing the needs as they arise. One of the benefits of Help Lesotho is that we're so flexible. We don't have a lot of bureaucracy. We can listen to our beneficiaries, we can assess the needs, and we can respond instantly. So we're doing that. We're remaining adaptive. We don't know what's happening coming forward, but we're on it. So I want to thank you all for joining us. Let us know how you want to be involved, and please tell your friends. We don't spend any money on advertising or marketing, and word of mouth is how we survive. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of the Help Lesotho family. And we love your letters. We've had probably a couple of hundred letters and emails from our donors of support and thanks and encouragement and hugs, virtual hugs, and we appreciate each and every one of them. So thank you for that. And we wish you all well. Me Hlalifu and Ndate Sello, Me Shasha, Me Faleng, on the next tranche of delivering the parcels. And please tell everyone we're thinking about them. Morena Modim Lafono Fasi, Ndate Le Bome. And best to you all. Please keep in touch. Thanks so much for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye.